there's a whole program. It's in our DNA, because part of our nature is and remains animal. It's a biological fact.
Friends, we're not meant to live in a confined environment, and we're not meant to be disconnected from the natural world or our own true nature. Chronic pain, immobility, depression, and lack of vitality, these are all symptoms of the zoo human syndrome. Modern society's conditioned us to consider this as normal and unavoidable. Our guest today does not think so.
Our guest today is Erwan Le Corre. Recognized as the Godfather of natural movement, he is the author of The Practice of Natural Movement, Reclaim Power, Health, and Freedom, and founder of Movenat, a forward-thinking approach to fitness that educates people to physical capability for the real world. Natural movement is a philosophy, practice, and lifestyle based on humanity's ancestral roots. Thank you for joining us today, Erwan.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and it's my pleasure.
Very nice to have you.
Thank you, Andrew.
And we typically just like to start off by asking, what are you grateful for today?
Every single breath to begin with, every single heartbeat, vision to just open my eyes and look around for the beauty, to feel the sun kissing my skin, to just wake up and hear my children already having fun and playing while the little one is still asleep like an angel, and all this. it's a whole context. I'm grateful for literally this. It's a dream, the dream of being alive, and every morning and every day and every moment, just that alone I think suffices. But if I ever had to wonder what I'm grateful for, which never happens, but all I've got to do is to hold my breath for a moment and remember just that, just breathing, just being alive. That's enough.
Beautiful. Yeah, 100%. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I understand that you split time between New Mexico and a fishing village in Mexico. Is that true? And where are you joining us from today?
It was true, absolutely true, until literally very recently, where we decided to just be back on our it's our land here, New Mexico. So right now I'm at 8,500 feet elevation. I'm only confined by this, little vehicle where I am, but otherwise out there, it's just vast expanses, and the True Chest Peaks are right behind. They are, peaking at around 12,000 feet elevation. They're still completely covered with snow. And we have an acequia running. So an acequia is like a little, it's like a river stream, just small, but it was dug by people for irrigation, because this is a high desert mountain. So it gets so dry in the summer, and irrigation, that's how you keep the cattle alive and things growing. And anyway, so it's a beautiful place, like an eagle nest view, 360. You can see everywhere around. So that's the place where we like to be.
So one state we haven't visited very often, more like driven through, but certainly has a lot to offer.
Have you ever been in the Southwest?
Utah area mostly.
Yeah, so it's very magical. The whole Southwest, really, it's pretty incredible. But that's if you like arid weather, and but also vast expanses, blue skies, amazing sunsets, and yeah,
the stars at night.
I woke up. Yeah, actually, I woke up last night and stepped outside. Don't tell your people, I was completely naked, and so and I looked at the stars, and it was unbelievable. The whole Milky Way, the whole, you could see every star.
Oh,
There's no light
amazing.
pollution at this in this place and at this altitude. There's no light pollution. There's no air pollution. There's no pollution.
We've spent quite a bit of time. We lived in Colorado for a number of years and
Yeah.
spent a lot of time in the mountains, obviously. And one of our favorite places, though, is the deserts of Utah and the canyon lands of Utah. Just spending time out there in the, like you were just mentioning, watching the stars at night, and they're just so vibrant and clear and inspiring.
We've been there too. Oof. Yeah. So, I mean, America is such an amazing country, and the land is so beautiful and powerful. Wow. Yeah. It's
Indeed.
it's it's incredible that but again that's a cultural thing, and it's everybody's choice, but to confine oneself not only in homes that much, but or in cars that much, but also in cities, in places where you won't enjoy a horizon. You want to enjoy a sky that has not like riddled by planes, and you won't enjoy a single moment that's not um literally polluted, not only the air, but with sounds and like lights and all kind of things and movement. And it's um you can get accustomed to it, but it's at the same time it's artificial, it's unnatural, it's very stressing to a human a human nervous system. So the exclamation is only superficial. Deep down, it's just anyway stressful.
Yeah.
So more nature, people.
Yes.
Time in
Agreed.
nature is one of our 6 pillars of performance is just rebalancing and spending time and connecting with nature. So absolutely agree.
Yeah. And well, speaking of natural, Erwan, could you tell us what is natural movement?
This episode of Fierce Planet Adventures podcast is brought to you by 5 Mountain Coaching, licensed unbeatable mind coaching, integrated accelerated vertical growth across 5 domains of cutting-edge development designed by retired Navy SEAL Commander Mark Devine. Learn the Big 4 skills of mental toughness and resiliency. Discover the 6 pillars of performance. Test your mettle with custom-created crucibles across all 5 domains. Visit 5mountaincoaching.com to schedule your free 1-hour unbeatable mind coaching session. That's the number 5, mountaincoaching.com. Begin your journey to becoming unbeatable today.
What is natural movement?
It's very simple. It's the remember yourself. Let's remember ourselves when we're little kids, before before we got to watch any fitness DVD or fitness program, or before we got educated to what's the proper way to exercise your muscles or exercise your body, before any instruction, before even we understood words and language. How did we move? And we were already crawling, and crawling, rolling, getting on our little rear, or on our knees, and then clumsily trying to stand up and then walk. There's a whole program. It's in our DNA, because part of our nature is and remains animal. It's a biological fact. And what would be natural movement to a mountain lion, to a deer, or an elephant in the savannah, to a dolphin in the ocean, and to an eagle up there perched in the Rocky Mountains somewhere? Obviously, those would be completely different natural movements, plural. Each species would have different movement skills. Some of them would be the same, some of them would be completely different. You would be hard pressed asking a dolphin to climb a tree. You'd be hard pressed asking an eagle to swim in the ocean. or to dive, or to run for distance. And you would be hard pressed asking an elephant to soar in the sky and to go up somewhere. Obviously, each animal species have their own natural movement, which I like to capitalize the N and M. Natural movement in each species is the whole scope of particular movement patterns and abilities, and then that becomes skills that they use for their own survival and to thrive, to just express themselves in this world, in this reality through movement. And the question is, all right, so aren't we a species, human species, right? We are one of a kind. And so we too have our own natural movement. And what is it? So we look at kids and we understand quickly what it is. We are meant to crawl, we're meant to roll, we're meant to do get ups and get downs, we're meant then to walk, we're bipedal predominantly. And then we have gait, we have walking and running and jumping and balancing. And then we can also hang and climb up and climb down. And we can also manipulate objects. We can lift objects, we can carry them, we can throw them, we can catch them. We also have our own self-defense abilities for movement. We can throw punches and kicks and knees and all kind of things. We can wrestle, we can so we are incredibly versatile. We can also swim, we can also hold our breath and dive. It's incredibly versatile. Human natural movement might be the most versatile of all. I can't think of any other animal species that has the same versatility. The scope of our movement abilities in humans is incredible. So that's what's natural movement to humans. And you want to ask yourself, how come that most modern humans don't really know how to operate their body in all those ways in a complete fashion, and let alone in an efficient fashion? Means everyone will have, to some extent, some ability to, pretty much everyone, to run, to jump, to maybe crawl on all fours, maybe to climb. But in most people, it might be very limited. And it doesn't have to be that way. It actually should not be that way. You know, it has become a norm because because of the culture, because of all kind of circumstances. It's not supposed to be that way. It's like, let's imagine a herd of or pack of whatever animal species, and you think of like some kind of not exuberant, but like a very movement wise very strong, very capable species, let's say wild horses, and all of a sudden most of them would be just seriously out of shape, and they could barely move, and they would need to be parked and literally to lay down all day and never be able to literally run like wild horses and jump over obstacles and go up and down, and you'll be like, what happened to them? What's up there? What happened? It's sad. Oh, these animals, they're normally so magnificent and so capable and so free of movement, obviously, and now they're not. And we can't even look at ourselves, human beings, and look at it the same and be like, what's going on? We're capable of movement. We should be magnificent through our own freedom of movement. Well, it's not the case, and nobody seems to think anything of it.
Interesting.
That's great. Well, my next question, I think you've pretty much covered already, but I'm going to ask it, and just to see if you have a little bit of a twist or anything additional to put exclamation point on it, is what's the goal of natural movement? And as I understand what you said, is it's basically for us to reconnect with our inherent, our innate ability to move with nature, through nature, out of the artificial settings. But is there anything else that I'm missing?
Or well, no, actually, you're absolutely right, Andrew. Um, I'll put it this way. Originally, the purpose of natural movement in humans, just like in any other species, is to keep us alive. We need to move through the real world, originally through wilderness, basically, in a way that is practical for the most part and adaptable. And we need to do that with efficiency, effectiveness, and efficiency, so that we don't get hurt, so we can escape threats, and we can procure food and all kind of things, help each other, explore new places. Just like in other species, we would have those movements so that we can live the life that is typical of our species, right? What about today? Well, today, if I want to be lazy, or just out of convenience, out of just habit, culture, I could just click, and in a few clicks, I've already ordered a pizza. That's going to be, and all of a sudden, a few minutes later, knock, knock. Okay, oh, that's your pizza. I already paid online. It's all prepared for me. Other people did the movement for me, and I just get to eat my food. Okay, that's I'm not saying there's nothing really wrong about it. It's actually awesome. That can be quite convenient sometimes. Like, hey, we don't want to spend 2 hours learning how to make a good pizza, or just a pizza and cook it and everything. But we want a pizza, so we want instant gratification, or near instant gratification. All right, so those are that's the beauty of the modern world, is the incredible amount of conveniences that we have access to. And I would never say that this is in itself bad, because it can be quite convenient, quite enjoyable to have this kind of comfort. What's killing us is that we can outsource that much. And therefore, our natural movements, those movements that we are supposed to do every day, that all our ancestors used to do every day, that we used to do maybe not every day, but a lot more when we were little kids, and then decades later, whoop, that's the car. We don't do that anymore. That is hurting us, because natural movement is a physical, biomechanical, but also a physiological behavior. So when we don't do it, there's stagnation. It weakens us, but it's not just a matter of strength and conditioning. It's way beyond that. What happens when we don't have every day this kind of movement behavior, physical behavior for the movement, that is diverse, that's as diverse as natural movement. We're not talking about just jogging, which is a single movement, or doing some kind of muscle isolation like a push-ups, or going to the gym and all, which is, again, very limited. It's very limited in the scope. When you look at it from, let's say you would have a footage of somebody exercising the modern way, without any sound, without any promotion, without any explanation. You would just look at the movement behavior and be like, that's pretty limited. It's very monodimensional. If you were to look at the whole movement behavior of a person who lives actually close to nature, like the hunter-gatherers that remain on this planet, it would be so much more diverse, and the frequency of movement, but also usually the fluidity of movement, the precision of movement would be there. You look at modern humans, they are very clumsy. First off, they have to ask themselves, should I exercise or not? So you see, the problem is that movement is optional. And then people don't even think of movement. They think in terms of exercise, as if it was a chore, something they have to impose to themselves, to almost sometimes to punish themselves for being so lazy, or to just because they have in mind some pretty much unattainable, irrealistic, cosmetic idea of what their body should look like, which is pretty much irrelevant. Instead of considering their overall physical capability and how they could acquire it, develop it, improve it, maintain it, or recover it, so that they would be decently or ready or very prepared in time of need to help themselves or help others, to be physically capable, right? For the real world. So what's the real world? Oh, wow. I need to move heavy furniture. I need to help my neighbor move heavy things. Oh, I need to scale that wall or that structure because that's the only way to go. You know, that could be day-to-day movements, day-to-day situations, but that could be life-challenging situations, you know? And you could say, well, this is never going to happen to me. Well, how do you know? Because on the news every day, things like that happen. And then most of the time, people are in trouble, not because the situation wasn't necessarily overwhelming, but because their inability to physically respond was overwhelming. And that's just one example, because you want to think of, what about your ability to hold a deep squat? Let's say you drop something on the floor and you're just 50 or 60 and you're already too stiff to just squat and pick up that, you know, a pair of glasses or something. You've been lacking movement so much for decades without even understanding what it did to your body and to your mind, that it has already caused you so many limitations physically and physiologically. And when we talk about freedom, maybe movement is a primary form of freedom. Like when you lose freedom of movement, you lose freedom. That's it. Because you can't go through the world with ease and comfort or pain-free, and that should not be the case. So long story short, movement has become optional, but truly it's not. Truly it's not. And I did not even address what it does at a cerebral level in terms of cognition, how movement is extremely important to health in so many ways, because it keeps your lymphatic system moving, so which help you, you know, clear out every day. You know, we are metabolic systems. You know, we eat and breathe, and there's a waste, just like in every energy production unit that we are, biologically speaking, and we need movement to cleanse our bodies, to keep our brain. There's some kind of movement of breathing of the brain. The brain floats in some the liquid there, and breathing, a movement activates breathing, which then you know, keeps the brain function optimum, flushes the brain. But also one of the specificity of natural movement is its adaptability. It means that you're not just doing a movement like in yoga and you could close your eyes. You do natural movement, just, you know, when you guys are hiking out there, and you cannot be like, oh, I'm going to be mindful, close my eyes. No, you're going to be mindful, open your eyes, open your senses, pay attention to where you place your foot, because one mistake and that's it. You just fell into the river, you just sprained your ankle, and you're in bad shape. So what happens is that when you have to be that mindful, which you have always to be mindful and adaptable so that you can do the movement efficiently and safely, your brain is much more engaged. And what it does is that it boosts brain function. It supports what's called neurogenesis, which is the production of neurons, the renewal of neurons. There's so many good things that happen at a brain function level. And I would, let's say, summarize that all by saying, it's not that much that being outside and being in movement frequently is good for you. Like, wait a minute, it's not good for you? Of course it's great for you, but what you want to look at is reverse your perspective. It is to always be inside and to not move much. That is, it's hurting you really. It's like really, really, really bad. So don't look at movement, natural movement, and being outside as just as a mere option that you may consider, oh yeah, maybe I should do that one of those days. That could be good for me. No, like you're already in a bad spot. Look at, you don't do it every day. It means that you are doing something else that is actually keeping you in a state of stagnation and weakness. Confinement, it's not just your body, it's your whole mind. Your eyes don't look at the horizon. Your whole body and your brain does not feel the rhythm of your whole self, biological self moving through the world. It's a lack of life in your life. So I gotta say.
Very well said. Thinking while you were explaining that, how we tend to just latch on to the idea of getting in physical shape means to look good and to be muscular tone. And I certainly have found the same when I did work out. Obviously, I felt better, but being confined to that gym space as compared to being outside and in that natural rhythm of the walking pace and being able to watch everything around me at the same time. And it just makes such a difference in the feeling and the mental state. And so, yeah, I completely agree.
Absolutely. And we hear a lot talking about the mental health predicament in modern society. And what that mental health predicament is, it's basically the outcome of extremely drained and upset nervous systems that we are, and physiological ecosystems that we are, that are deprived from life, from natural movement, like the natural movement that of one's whole body, all the fluids in your body, all the interaction with gravity, with the world, with all all those behaviors, and what happens through our senses, what we see through our eyes, what we feel in our feet, in our body, through our movement, all of that. It's it's a timeless necessity, that it's a biological reality that does not go away just because we got civilized. All right. Okay. So, okay for the conveniences, okay for some comfort, but if you don't step out of that comfort zone, it shrinks so bad that in the end, you are a very stressed person physiologically, but also at the nervous system level. And the nervous system level, what makes us feel good in our mind or not, relaxed, confident, or the opposites, like tense, scared, upset, all kind of negativity of our mental state, emotional state, that's in the nervous system, because that's what we are. We're a big nervous system. And there's a psychophysiology and physiopsychology. So physiopsychology is whenever the nervous system that you are that's attached to the, embedded in the whole body with all these cells and organs and skins and bones and all fascia and all of that, that biological unit is not functioning the way it's supposed to. It does not get the sunlight, it doesn't get the movement, doesn't get the exposure to nature, it doesn't get the sleep, it doesn't get the right food, healthy food, clean food. So it's hurting literally, I can't use another word. It's literally impacting negatively. Okay, let's say not hurting, impacting negatively. Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Impacting negatively your physiology. So what happens then is that it's impacting your psychology. So maybe you don't have a problem with, maybe you do, but maybe you don't have that much a problem with, yourself and your, what happens to you in your life and, finding yourself and all. And maybe you do, but maybe it's part of, let's say, some of the issues a person may have in their life. But if they could already look at what they do and don't do to their body, to their ecosystem, and confining it, depriving it again from the light, the movement, the water, the from nature, the nature outside and nature within, then it's going to make your nervous system completely upset. So that's physiopsychology. It's how inadequate treatment or management or environment and behavior of your body is going to negatively impact your mind, your mental state, and your emotional state. And then conversely, how a nervous system, we're talking about the limbic brain, right? The animal part of self that is off balance, that's also going to create a whole deal of chain reactions in your body, in your physiology, through hormones, stress hormones, and then inflammation. And, it's going to disrupt your sleep and everything. So we're talking about psychophysiology. So it goes like that. It's just like the autonomic nervous system. There's the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, and they need to be balanced. So, like the mind-body connection and the body-mind connection, all of that needs to be balanced. So what's natural movement? So lifestyle that makes you reconsider that you're not just a mind trapped in some kind of a cage up there, and your whole life should be lived through the lens of your thinking, especially overthinking. And if you find yourself overthinking, it's because you don't want to feel. You that's all you've got left is thinking. And so movement is going to help you meditate in some way. It's going to help you calm down your nervous system. It's going to make you think less, think better, think different, feel more, be more embodied, be more in your body. And one of the reasons is, again, adaptability. For instance, yoga is wonderful, but if you do yoga, you may close your eyes, you are on a flat ground, it's all predictable. You do not have an interaction with the external world, let alone with nature. The difference between doing that and actually stepping outside and walking, just hiking on a wild natural terrain is phenomenal, because it's actually not only it's also mindful, it's actually more mindful, because there's that unconscious part of your brain that just needs to pay attention and that cannot avoid to retreat from the world. It has to engage with the world. And that's where the goal is.
Well, yeah, I could totally relate, right? I find myself, if I'm not out in nature, for a period of time, I find myself, becoming stressed, not thinking very well. And it's kind of a harbinger, right? I need to get out. I need to get on the trail. I need to move in nature. And it's a great place for me to work on issues or problems, mental problems that I'm having, like, how do I overcome this, or how do I fix that? And, or, how do I work better within the team, one of the teams I'm in? And it usually takes a few miles on the trail before that process really kicks in, right? And the farther away, or the more time I spend away from the trail, the longer it takes for me to get back into that spot. But something magical happens about that 2 to 3 mile mark, where
Mhm.
my thinking just opens up, possibilities, solutions come forth. Um, Almost maybe a form of intuition, I guess.
Absolutely. So I have the exact same experience. There's nothing like a good hike to find solutions to whatever, to find insights, to have intuition. It's not. It's not almost as if it's literally there are parts of your brain that operate um, it in the background, and it's cognition, not just because like even a thought is not necessarily happening because you think or the thoughts are like the flowers, or the I don't know, the fruits of the mind, but no flower, no fruit is produced without the whole tree and the root system and the light and whole ecosystem. So we look at our own thoughts as if they were the end all and be all, but a lot of our psyche and consciousness happens in a thoughtless way. Um, at different layers, different spaces of, we could say, of our brain, our neurology, or our psyche, or wherever it is that is located, our consciousness. And nature and movement helps that a lot. And so sometimes, it's not sometimes, ideally, instead of staring at issues and entering negative loops about issues in our mind, we're just gonna walk, we let go. Instead of, we don't sit on it, we walk on it, we hike on it. And then we walk with relaxation, with it helps us relax anyways, and with confidence that the solutions are on their way, because we are open, because we're confident, because we have faith, because we're positive, because there's no reason that we would stay stuck, because solutions are always somewhere, and sometimes we don't need to look for them, we just need to find them. And so when you walk, often you don't even look for solutions, you just know that you're gonna find them, because your consciousness is operating at a different level, and probably a more effective, efficient way. And in the end, we call it intuition. Oh, I have this intuition. Well, trust me, the intuition just, it didn't happen like that. That was a whole path and process until poof, it it is delivered to you in the form of a clear thought that is the solution.
Yeah,
That
100%.
intuition.
You
Yeah.
got to set the stage for that intuition, to set the stage and do the work for that intuition, for your intuition to come forth and present itself.
If you enable it, you've
Mhm.
got to enable it. And so it's hard to enable it if you are scrolling social media all the time, looking at negative news 24/7, sitting on your rear and not moving, or thinking and thinking and thinking about problem, like literally staring at the problem, but not having any openness to solving, to even the existence of a solution or a set of solutions. So it's a mindset thing, but definitely walking, moving in nature, just moving. That could be dancing, by the way. That could be doing yoga. That could be focusing on your breath. That could be breath holding, that could be praying, that could be singing, anything different that has a a component of mindfulness, but also of so that would be side of mindfulness as in focus, and at the same time a side of I don't even pay attention in some ways. I let go. It's paradoxical, but I know you guys know exactly what we're talking about.
No, this is perfect. This is right right in that sweet spot of what we're doing and the message that we're sharing with everyone. Um, if it's okay with you, I'd like to shift focus a little bit, and I think you've done a really great job of explaining and setting up the transition here. Is so now what? And that now what is MovNat, and that is a program. I'll let you explain it for our listeners. And I've definitely got some targeted questions around it. The inspiration behind that is everything that you've just said, right? Is getting outside, getting ourselves reconnected with nature, using our inherent abilities um, as the vehicle for fitness. And
Right.
yeah, so
Well, there's that, Andrew. Look, if I put it very simply, very, very simply, MovNat, the program, the fitness program, what it is to me. Well, it's the physical education program that I wish I had received and, been through as a kid, and that I actually never received. All right. So I go to school, you go to school, we all go to school, and pretty much the same all around the world. You go to school, and there's pretty much almost no physical education. And number one, so huge problem already means, wait, so we are supposed to be educated and that so we become grown-ups that are independent, capable and all. And it makes sense that we learn to read and write and basic math and all these kind of things. But every year, millions of kids get out of school, they have no clue how to operate their own body. Okay, so they're not physically educated at all, at all. And it's not something that anybody says anything about. Like, it's not a problem apparently. I mean, what, like you're grown up, but you're not actually grown up. You're grown up. You don't know how your body is still alien to you. You don't even know how maybe you could not even tell us where your liver is or your heart is, let alone, I don't know, show me any kind of practical movement. So what should be to me a real physical education program, it's a program that would educate individuals, so young kids, to do, by the way, what they by instinct try to do, but that we repress them and prevent them and limit them from doing. It would be becoming able to operate your body in the real world, to be equipped with the physical and mental skills so that in time of need, they can be helpful to themselves and helpful to others. In what way? Well, how about you know how to lift and carry a person, and only the diverse techniques you could do that, because techniques are involved, just like in a martial art. But you would have developed through your childhood and teenage time, and then going on, you would maintain that for a lifetime. You would have the strength, the coordination, the balance, the skills of lifting, the skill of carrying, the skill of running and jumping and landing without falling or without sometimes hesitating, just the confidence in yourself, confidence about your physical capability based on actual capability. So physical capability, that's two things to me. That's competency and capacity. So competency is neuromuscular. It's, the software is in your brain, to use like a more or less good metaphor, but It is the skills, the way you move that's efficient or not. And then capacity is physiological adaptations. So in the form of strength, power, endurance, speed, all these kind of things. And so you combine both, and you should train both at the same time. And then you have capability, and then experience of some situations. So to me, this is much more important than knowing the rules of basketball or whatever game. And not that playing games and sports isn't cool, but to me, it's not primary important. Because, for instance, yesterday I took my kids to a local skateboard park. There were like maybe 15 teenagers. I like what they do. It's cool, you know, they're learning to skateboard, but all of them were skinny. And be like, oh, that's great, they're skinny, so they're in shape. No, they're not in shape at all. You could tell they're 15 years old. These kids have never done a pull-up or a push-up, and I'm pretty sure that that would take them on a run and they would be winded with that within 2 minutes. And so I'm not, these kids are 15 years old, 17, 18, whatever, and they should already be, to me, in my worldview, they should look like athletes. They should be not, you know, world level athletes. That's not what I'm talking about, but you could, in my opinion, kids should, at this stage of their life, already clearly they look like they know what is to move. They know what is to run and climb something and swim and lift something heavy and do all these things, not just skateboard, not just basketball. All right. And teenagers and older people and, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, it doesn't matter. So to me, Movenat, that's the program that educate people regardless of who they are, regardless of what they look like, regardless of the background, because that's truly a universal. I would prefer to live in a world where I know that most people are physically capable than in a world where I know that most people are physically inept and out of shape. And, you know, it's like everybody lives, it's like an out of the body experience, literally. They're not in their body.
Yeah. So one of the questions that came up for me as I was looking at going through your website is, you know, what if I'm like, you know, 40, 50 years old, maybe I've got some mobility issues. I'm not in the best shape right now. Can I do MovNat?
So that's the thing, is that we've got a method, and the method is precisely designed so that you don't have to be intimidated and be like, wow, like, I love what the guy says, and this is philosophy. I get it, and it's true, and I should have more capability in my body, and all that. But there's no way that I can run or jump and do all these things. Well, we have a method that's precisely designed to, first off, be safe. Secondly, be progressive, means that whatever is your current ability, that's where you start. You know, we're not asking you to do anything that you can't physically do, that you're not ready to do with your body. That would be unsafe for you to do. And then we have this very unique way to break down the simplest movements into parts that you can learn and practice until you can recompose complete movements with more efficiency, with more fluidity. We have a diverse way to have you move. Somewhere we would just ask you to do a movement with little instruction and just enjoy and have fun. And others where we'll be like, wait, stop. Okay, now you're going to pay attention to this. And that could be just pay attention to the way you breathe. See, you hold your breath and then you're very stiff. So learn to relax and breathe through the nose and breathe with a good pace. And in other ways would be like, hey, you may not jump over that big obstacle, but you can jump from here to there, and that's just not even 1 foot. And just learn already to place the ball of your foot first, and to not let your knees cave in, and to relax, and to have the right sequence of your arms, and, you know, like a bit of observation of what is the pattern that you use in. So there are different ways to teach a person or each individual to move better. And when you start to move better, then you can move more and more frequently and with more intensity, step by step. And then you have more and more self-confidence, and more it boosts your brain function, etc., etc. So it literally can bring some people back to life.
Awesome. Trying to be mindful of time. This is really exciting, and I'm super stoked to start on this journey here with Movenat. And what's a good place for someone to start?
So we have MovNat.com, obviously, MovNat.com. It's great to pay a visit to the website to begin with. We have a serious amount of free material. If you sign up to our newsletter, you'll get weekly what we call maps. So there are free workouts, but again, those workouts are more based on moving and enjoying the pleasure of movement and learning a bit of efficiency on the way than exertion alone. It's not about like, okay, we're going to give you a good sweat. You can have that. You can retrain high level with Movenat, like really intense kind of workouts, but that's not the primary, that's not the starting point for most people. So we have videos for that. And then we have online coaching, we have online courses, and we have just until the end of the year alone, 2021, we have more than 100 events, means like workshops taking place worldwide, most of them actually outside. So good news if you've been feeling confined, like all of us, or pretty much all of us, for too long, those workshops are going to take place outside. Yeah. So whoever you are, there's going to be some ways that you can get started with some natural movement. You'll find example on how to start doing it in your backyard or in your living room. You'll get a 2x4 board and you'll start to do simple balancing movements on it. Well, maybe watching TV if you really have to, or you could do that with your spouse, with your kids, grandkids. It's all about, delving back in a safe and pleasurable way, pleasant way, but also effective way, back into what's your birthright of natural movement, human natural movement. You should be, again, we all should be frequently moving on all fours, balancing, jumping and landing, hanging, swinging, climbing, and have fun, challenge ourselves, be a little bit stronger and healthier every day. And that's a good life. It's a good thing to do in life.
100%. I love it. Have fun with it.
Yep.
Great.
Thank you guys so much. I think my battery is almost like, so if it goes like blackout, it's just because the battery it's not giving me a chance. But I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for having interest in my work. And thank you so much for sharing, the message from really good people who do great work, just like you do. And helping us modern zoo humans to get out of the cages of conventions and to reclaim a more joyful, healthy, capable life, because we're meant to thrive. That's the truth.
Thank you, Erwan, so much for your time. We are very honored to have you on. This is all super fascinating for us, and we can't wait just to dive even deeper into it. So
thank you so much, Casey. Thank you, Andrew. And let me know whenever you'd like to attend one of our workshops, and I'll definitely facilitate that. Maybe that could be something we talk about next time on your podcast.
Oh, that would be absolutely wonderful.
absolutely.
Yes. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir, and we will be connecting in the near future.
Thank you. Likewise, and until next time, everybody be well and take care of
Likewise.
yourself.